You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Inside Automotive right here at CBT Automotive Network. Today we are taking a closer look at LotLinx's Q1 VinCensus report to learn how dealers can better navigate today's market and stay competitive. Joining us on today's show is LotLinx Vice President of Product Strategy, Joshua Gonsenhauser. Thank you so much, Joshua, for joining us on the show today.
Hey, Jim, really appreciate being here. Excited to be part of the show. Thank you.
Sure. So let's to refresh our audience, what is the VinCensus report all about?
Yeah, so the VinCensus is a comprehensive monthly inventory report. You know, the nice thing is it's franchise specific, and we've developed the report through LotLinx proprietary lexica data. And, you know, it's going to give you insights on inventory, carryover, what's hot, what's not. More importantly, we're pinging 24 million data points, leveraging, machine learning modeling over the past 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, wow. That is a lot of points right there. There's no question about it. What stood out most to you, and what does it signal about where the market's heading?
Well, I know we're late in April, but if you think back to late March, we were actually tracking to have a slightly lower unit count than the previous quarter, and there was just a tremendous surge late. The last 2 weeks of March, we ended up with a 10% quarter-over-quarter growth, which was primarily due to, used cars.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was the threat of tariffs.
Yeah.
I think we pulled a lot of customers, into March that would have been probably sales later in the year. And I think what's interesting when you look at April is we're not seeing the same strength that we saw in March.
Okay.
I just think there's so much uncertainty within the market that it's cooled off a bit.
Yeah, for sure. We saw that EV and hybrid sales are slowing a little bit while ICE prices are rising. What should dealers take away from these shifts when managing their inventory mix?
Yeah, Jim, I don't think it's surprising we've seen EVs slow down with all that administration has kind of put in place. The focus really isn't in EV today than maybe a few months ago. I think, the real challenge today is you can't avoid them. Yeah. Dealers aren't going to be put in a position where they can say yay or nay. They have to make car deals. Yeah. So either a consumer trading an EV, you've got to put the right price on the car today. Yep. And using tools like LotLinx Vin Manager to identify data, market demand and shopper counts is really important. Critically, to the point that you want to make sure that you're using data to leverage the best decisions during the acquisition process. Now, I wouldn't be an advocate of running out and buying EVs, but there are consumers still looking for them. It's really just about providing the right price at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question. We've heard from dealers that they're selling EVs. There's no question about it. On the used car lot as well as they're off of their new car showroom. The interest of EVs is also substantially higher from all of the third-party lead providers that we talk to out there, whether it be Cars.com or Edmunds or whoever it may be. There's a substantial increase in those consumers that are researching EVs and hybrids, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's really interesting. I saw a stat, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, that over the last 6 to 9 months, clients that were polled, 75% would consider a new EV in the next vehicle purchase, whereas today it's less than 10%. The challenge is that there's been a lot of bad press on EV, but they still make great vehicles for 75% of the Americans that live in a market that will actually support EV charging, things like that. To me, it's just you've got to be able to find the right customer on the right car. And that's really where LotLinx comes in. Being able to merchandise a vehicle at the VIN level is so important.
Yeah, no question about it, for sure. What smart pricing moves are you seeing customers make today?
Yeah, it's funny. You see kind of two worlds. One is we're going to stack cars and we're playing the spec game, which is, we think that tariffs are going to hit pretty significantly over the next several months. We want to make sure that we're buying at the right prices today. I think that's one side. I think, the other is the smart pricing decisions being made today are putting the right price and the right promotion on the right car. And I think that dealers that are focused on selling cars today versus what the future may hold are really going to be in the driver's seat. If you think back to 2019 and 20 during COVID, there are a lot of those experts in the automotive industry that said liquidate all your cars.
Oh, yeah.
I think if we were to look back at that decision, probably not the best one. What I will say is the wholesale market is hotter than ever, and we're not necessarily seeing that translate over to retail buyers.
Yeah.
So today, a LotLinx metric that we use quite regularly is called carryover costs.
Okay.
We're seeing a lot of carryover risk on used cars. So those vehicles that have aged beyond 30 days and new car beyond 45, which identifies ground stock is stacking up, but consumer demand isn't. And I think more than ever before right now, living in the market we're in is most important. So to me, the decision that I always make, and every dealer I talk to, I give kind of the same, if I were to say guidance, is price the car to sell within the next 30 to 45 days. Don't play the spec game, because that's a really hard game to win.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's really good advice, especially with this very fluid market that we find ourselves in right now, right?
No doubt. It's a challenge. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And frankly, when there's uncertainty, the best thing we can do is find customers right away on the cars that are aging on our lots.
That's right. Make your money and be done with it. Get out of it. With tariffs, what should dealers be doing now to strengthen their position heading into the rest of the year? I mean, obviously, so many dealers are trying to figure out this tariff situation, and they're trying to build their strategies and build their their forecast for the rest of the year. It's tough to do, though, right?
It really is. I mean, I wish I had a silver bullet. I don't. What I would tell you is that I always go back to the same thing. There's customers that, there's cars to make customers and cars to make gross. And being able to determine what those are using the tools that are available today, that's really important.
Yeah.
When I think about the tariffs, you kind of mentioned a lot of uncertainty. We do not know. What I do know is that there are consumers in market today, and our job is to find them and put the best price and the best merchandise vehicle in front of them. And that's really what we're telling our dealers, right? So the idea behind LotLinx is, rather than focusing on advertising on the overall inventory, we're at the VIN level,
right,
and we're going to focus on putting the right car in the right consumer's hands immediately.
Yeah. And that's something that I don't think anyone else is doing. I mean, you guys have got kind of the corner on that VIN-specific marketing strategy, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, for more information, LotLinx.com. But the reality is, rather than putting a blanketed merchandising investment across all the inventory, we look at it more as, we're going to invest the merchandising and marketing investment on the cars that need it most, and the others we're going to let them sell based on the demand they already have in the market.
Yeah. And that's been such a shift from the way dealers have marketed cars over the years, where they just take X number of dollars, spread across all their inventory, and say, let's run with it. And meanwhile, half the inventory moves within the first couple of weeks and doesn't need that kind of dollars allocated.
Jim, that's so right. I mean, a joke I often hear is, I'm going to apply $10,000 as my marketing investment over my inventory. But what a lot of dealers are unaware of is that $10,000 was invested on 2 or 3 cars.
That's right.
Right? So we give a better optic on how and why we're investing the merchandising dollars on what VIN to make sure that we're efficiently using your investment.
Yeah, fantastic. Joshua Gonsenhauser, LotLinx Vice President of Product Strategy. Thank you so much for stopping by CBT News. It's always great catching up with you, and love to do a follow-up to see where things lie.
Absolutely, Jim. Great. Thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.